Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. And of course, we're going to be talking about the NFL playoffs as they get kicked off in just a couple more days on Saturday. We got some doozies of some matchups that we're going to talk about here on the channel. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. We are Prime Sports World. If you like what we are doing here, I'm David On Point Huffman. Right there is Mr. Christian Simpson from the Daily Blitz.blog and my co-host, Mr. T.J. Hopkins. Welcome to the show, my friends. And who's excited for Wild Card Weekend as we separate the contenders from the pretenders?
I think this is as wide open of a postseason that it's been in quite some time. Normally, there's one or two teams that you kind of lean towards once the playoffs start. But I think this is as wide open as it's been in quite some time.
I would tend to agree with you. I don't think there's that dominant team. Even a team like the Detroit Lions, who come off extremely dominant, I think they could be had. I think the Kansas City Chiefs, they've just escaped a bunch of games. So we'll see how this ends up shaking out. I know Kansas City's not playing this week. But let's talk about Wild Card Weekend. Let's start with Saturday. We got the Los Angeles Chargers going into Houston and taking on the Houston Texans. Obviously, the Chargers beat the Raiders in order to leapfrog the Pittsburgh Steelers, move up into the 5 seed in the AFC, and the Houston Texans won the AFC South. Last time these two teams played was actually 2 years ago, and the Chargers won that game 34-24. But different quarterback for the Texans, different head coach for the Chargers. TJ, how do you think this shakes out as Wild Card Weekend gets kicked off in Houston?
I'm going with the Chargers. I just think the injuries are too much for the Texans to overcome, and I think that Jim Harbaugh is too good of a coach for DeMeco Ryans to overcome. I think this is definitely going to be one of those time possession games. I wholeheartedly think Harbaugh is going to go into this game trying to literally run the air out of the ball. We also know that the Texans are a team that likes to blitz a lot, and one way to slow that down is literally by running the ball. So give me the Chargers.
Christian.
Yeah, I like the Chargers as well. For primarily the reasons that TJ said. The Texans are injured. The Texans limp into the playoffs. I mean, Stroud's going to be without 2 top targets in Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs. This is the reason why you acquired Stephon Diggs, was for a magnitude of this game. But unfortunately, he's not going to be there. And, I just like the makeup and the build of this Chargers football team. I was high on them coming into the year, and they've impressed me. I mean, we know what the philosophy of a Jim Harbaugh coach team is. They want to run the ball. They want to be violent at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and they want to be physical defensively and make you one-dimensional. And I think they're going to throw a lot of different looks at C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you guys. I think the Los Angeles Chargers on paper are a better football team. I think the Texans are just too banged up, especially on offense. I mean, you lose their 2 top weapons. And the Chargers, I mean, this offense is really starting to round into form in here. They got, Quentin Johnson, who's kind of had a really solid second season. Lad McConkey's been a solid rookie. He's going to get a couple votes for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't think he's for sure not going to win it, but he should be in that conversation for sure. Justin Herbert, they're not asking him to go into the phone booth like he has been in previous seasons. J.K. Dobbins should win could be in the running for Most Improved Player of the Year or Comeback Player of the Year award. The Chargers are just a really good story, and their turnaround from being a 4-13 team a season ago into being a playoff team, and what a difference coaching makes when it comes to the Chargers in just one season.
I also think Justin Herbert. I mean, that's just how good quarterback play is in the in the league right now. But do you know right now Justin Herbert, he eclipsed 21,000 passing yards this season. He finished the regular season with 21,093 career passing yards. Dude is not. That's how good the quarterback play is. This man has 137 career touchdowns, over 21,000 career passing yards. and it's literally just flying under the radar.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, isn't he the fastest to that milestone ever?
yeah, like
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's crazy.
Moving on from there, let's talk about staying in the AFC, but we got a rubber match in the AFC North as the Pittsburgh Steelers, loser of 4 straight games, go into Baltimore and take on the Ravens. These two teams split the season series, with the Steelers taking the early matchup earlier in the season, the Ravens getting the matchup down the stretch here. The Ravens have been especially dominant over the stretch here. I think they've won, 4 games in a row. So we got one team on a 4-game winning streak, one team on a 4-game losing streak. The last loss to the Ravens was the Philadelphia Eagles. The last win by the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, was when they beat Baltimore. No, there was a game in between that, but I don't remember what it is. But Steelers, Ravens, one of these teams is coming on right on the high horse. The other team is kind of limping into the playoffs. Christian.
Yeah, this is gonna be a bloodbath. This is physical AFC North football. They've met in the playoffs a couple of times, so it's just another chapter in the rivalry. These teams do not like each other, but Saturday was a microcosm of the Steelers' last 4 games, summed up in one, because their defense has been shouldering and handling the responsibility of the success of this team pretty much the entire year. It's the offense that really needs to come together, and they got to get back to Steelers football, which is running the ball. One thing I will say, the last time these two teams met in Baltimore ran the ball for 220 yards, and the Steelers are one of the best run defenses in the league. So I think this is going to be one up front in the trenches. This is going to be, can Pittsburgh contain Lamar Jackson? Can they force him to throw the ball quicker than what he wants to? And can they bottle up Derrick Henry like they did in the first game? If they can do that, they have a victory, but they have no momentum coming into the playoffs. And I like what I'm seeing from Baltimore, and I think the Ravens advance.
Cleveland was the last game.
Yeah. I was just about to look it up. Yeah, Cleveland was the last time the Pittsburgh Steelers won a game was when they beat the Cleveland Browns. Over a month ago.
I mean, but Christian said something interesting. Can the Pittsburgh Steelers bottle up Derrick Henry? I've come to the conclusion that the only people that can bottle Derrick Henry up is the team he plays for, whatever team that is, and that's by not giving him the ball.
Yeah.
Derrick. So like that's where I'm at. Like you can't bottle up Derrick Henry as a defense. The team he plays for, whatever team that is, bottles Derrick Henry up by taking the ball out of his hands. So it's a very simple equation for the Baltimore Ravens. It's don't oversimplify it. It's what I said about the Bears like 3 months ago. 1 + 1 will always equal 2. It will never equal 3. It won't even get to 4. 1 + 1 is 2. So that means when you give the ball to Derrick Henry 20 or more times, you win. So give the ball to Derrick Henry 20 or more times and go win the damn game. It's that simple.
With that being said, yeah, I'm also going to take the Baltimore Ravens in this matchup. I just haven't. The Steelers are just limping into the playoffs, and they have a fantastic defense, but this offense just leaves a lot to be desired. And it really starts up front. Their offensive line hasn't been all that good last 4 weeks for sure, giving up a lot of sacks, and Russell Wilson just holds the football too long. It's the age tale is old as time.
And to Christian's point about the defense, we heard for the first month and a half of the season that they were winning in spite of Justin Fields, and I hate the fact that narrative is no longer being spewed anymore because they have absolutely been winning in spite of Russell Wilson but you haven't. Like you lost 40, you ended the season on the 4th straight.
Yeah. Moving on from there, we're going to swing into Sunday afternoon football. We're going to start first in Orchard Park as the Buffalo Bills play host to the Denver Broncos. Last time these two teams played was last season, actually, and Russell Wilson threw that game-winning touchdown to Cortland Sutton at the corner of the end zone. But this is a very different Denver Broncos team, and this is a very different Buffalo Bills team. This game was last time they played actually was also in Orchard Park. But Denver's not as good as Buffalo. Let's call a spade a spade. I think the Denver Broncos are a really nice story, and it's great that they snapped that nine season streak of not missing the playoffs. They're no longer the second longest streak in the NFL, but they're not good enough to contend with Buffalo Bills. I think Buffalo wins this game. They win this game fairly easily. I think, in my opinion. Give me Buffalo, TJ.
I'm not going that far. Underestimate Denver if you want to. Baltimore. Buffalo. Underestimate them if you want to.
I mean, they probably got DPOY on their team.
Underestimate them if you want to. It's definitely going to be a coaching matchup for sure. You got Sean Payton versus why is his name escaping me?
Sean McDermott.
Yeah, you got Sean Payton versus Sean McDermott, and let's see what that does. Let's see where that goes. You got Joe Brady versus Vance Joseph. You got, if he plays, Von Miller against his old team, right? It's gonna be matchups across the board. You got Pat Surtain versus Keon Coleman or Amari Cooper or whoever's gonna be the hot target for Josh Allen. If you're Buffalo, you're going into this game in this simple. Hey, we have Josh Allen and you don't. Like, Bo Nix is solid, but he ain't Josh Allen. Like, he ain't been here before. So give me Buffalo.
Christian.
David.
Oh, let's go, baby.
Oh, first one of 25.
Ooh, first one of 2025. Let's go.
1, 2, 3.
Shameless plug number 1.
Baby. Listen, Buffalo's 13-4. They're relatively healthy. They've gotten a couple of reinforcements back, and this offense, I think, is better now than what it was with Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, because you don't know who to zoom in on. Like TJ said, like, who's going to be that hot target? Denver's been a great story this year, but can Denver get the running game going? That's the issue I think I have with them. I preview this one tomorrow. Be on the lookout.
Bo Nix accounts for, I think, a third of the rushing yards for this team and a quarter of the rushing touchdowns for Denver. If you're going to beat Buffalo, that's not going to be good enough.
Right.
Period. From there, we're swinging into the NFC. We got a rematch from week number 1. That game was played in Brazil. This one will be at the Link as the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles go head-to-head. Green Bay won this as a consolation prize for losing to our Chicago Bears on Sunday. And now they get to head up to the Link and play the Philadelphia Eagles. Just a quick... the Eagles waived Ian Book today, so I imagine that Jalen Hurts will be good to go for this game. You don't waive your third-string quarterback if you don't think he's going to be able to play. So Jalen Hurts probably will be the starting quarterback, but he hasn't played now in 21 days. Do you think that's even relevant, or will it even matter? Christian.
David.
Oh, another shameless plug. Let's go.
Oh, let's go. 1, 2, 3.
Shameless plug number 2.
Baby. Yeah, look, this is one of the best games that I saw all year, week 1. Saquon kind of reintroducing himself to the world. Now he's on a division winner. Now he's playing playoff football. The sky's the limit for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think this is the most elite team in the NFC. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They have weapons on the perimeter. And they have the number 1 ranked defense entering the playoffs. Green Bay, they come into the playoffs limping. I mean, Christian Watson is a big piece of the puzzle for the Green Bay Packers. He's the weapon that Jordan Love uses to stretch the field. 6'4", a little over 200 pounds, and it's going to be tough not having that possession weapon down the field. I preview this one on Saturday. Be on the lookout for it.
TJ.
Saquon Barkley's been in the league since 2018. 2018 to 2024, what's that, 6 years?
Correct.
This is his second time in the playoffs. That's it. Second time.
Well, that's what happens when you play in New York for 5 of those seasons.
Mm-hmm.
No offense.
No, who you offending?
Right.
Well, the lone Giants fan on this panel.
Christian,
I know he doesn't care. I know he doesn't care, but he's still a Giants fan. He would prefer it if the Giants were good. Like, let's just be real.
of course, but nonetheless, like I just remember some of the ish being said about Saquon, how he's not this, he's not that type of player, and it's just like, dude, his teams have been hot ass, bro. Like, what do you want him to do? He's one person, and it's just amazing what happens to a player when you surround him with competence, right? And I understand, like, the Eagles got off to a slow start. They started off like 1-2 or whatever, and it's just like, oh my god, the sky is falling. And then they started winning games, and then Nick Sirianni gets caught chirping at the fans, and then AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts have their little tit for tat with the media and all that other good stuff, and they limp to some victories during this stretch. The Eagles are going to win this game. I just don't like I don't like how Green Bay ended the season. You lost 2 in a row, and now you're trying to downplay, and I'm putting downplay in quotation marks, the loss to the Bears. Like, oh, it didn't matter. It absolutely mattered. You absolutely wanted that game. Talking about some, we didn't sit people, like people didn't play in the second half. Why? Why didn't they play in the second half? Like, did it get to a point where y'all was gonna play Philly regardless? No. Like no, it's like this game ended. The game against the Bears ended before the Cowboys and Commanders game ended.
And the Commanders had to come back and win that game.
And you absolutely needed that win. Losing Christian Watson, I said it yesterday. Hey, dude just can't catch a break. I'm pulling for him because he's insanely talented. Jordan Love, we don't know what his status is going to be going into the game. I mean, yeah, but actually both of them. Jordan Love is banged up, and Jalen Hurts is still in
the
concussion protocol.
But they don't have their first practice, I think, until tomorrow. So I mean, I think that'll be cleared up a little bit more tomorrow. If he practices it, I think it'll be fine.
You think
for
both
those two guys? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to do this.
So these two teams played in Brazil in week number 1, and they played it as even a game as you could have played. Total net yards for the Green Bay Packers 414. Total net yards for the Philadelphia Eagles 410. The Philadelphia Eagles had 3 turnovers in this game to the Green Bay Packers 1. Yards per play 7.4 for the Green Bay Packers, 8.2 for the Philadelphia Eagles. They both allowed 2 sacks on both sides. Gross passing yards, 260 to 278. Like, this is as close a matchup as you can have on paper. The only difference is the Philadelphia Eagles made the stops when they needed to down the stretch, and Green Bay was unable to convert. Time possession, 27 minutes and 13 seconds for Green Bay. Philadelphia Eagles, 32 minutes and 47 seconds. But I think the difference here is Green Bay is kind of backpedaling into the playoffs. And I know the Philadelphia Eagles, they lost that game to the Commanders a week ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago. I know they absolutely dismantled Dallas and they beat down on the Giants. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm also doing it because I'm a bit of a hater, and I hate Green Bay. I never want to see them win another thing for the rest of my life. With that being said, I'm taking the Eagles. I think that I still, even haterade aside, they are a better football team than the Green Bay Packers are today.
I also think the big difference is, like you said, like that's the first game of the season. This is the playoffs. Like these are not like they're the same team, but they're not the same team. If that makes sense. Like this is these are 2 teams where it's just like going into the preseason. We know what preseason is now. Like, hey, people might like your starters might play a drive, and then in that first game, if they play at all. Right, your starters might not play at all come preseason, and these are 2 teams that kind of adopt that. And then the first game of the season, it's hey, let's go 100 miles an hour after not playing meaningful football for I don't know how many months, and that's what you get. Like you said, it's evenly matched. Let's see what happens come Sunday, where it's everybody.
I mean, the difference. I mean, Philadelphia technically played a home game in Brazil, but this is going to be at the Link. Like, it's going to be a very different atmosphere for sure.
True.
Moving on, and I don't remember the last time that this has been a thing. Moving on into the nightcap on Sunday, it's another Week 1 rematch, and I can't remember the last time we had like 2 Week 1 rematches in any playoff round, let alone the wild card round. But this is a rematch of the Washington Commanders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from Week number 1. Tampa Bay won that game fairly easily, 37-20. But this is before we knew how good Jaden Daniels was going to be and how turned around this Washington Commanders football team was going to be going into the rest of the season. I mean, the Commanders only lost 4 more games the rest of the way after losing to Tampa Bay. Christian.
David.
Oh, let's go.
Shane, ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Shameless plug number 3, baby.
Look, this was the introduction to Jaden Daniels, and look how he just flourished throughout the remainder of the regular season. More than likely, he's going to be rewarded as the NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Year. But I want to talk about the other quarterback, Baker Mayfield, and ask TJ. I've been raving about this guy all year. This is the best I've ever seen him look on an NFL field since he's come into the league. And he's found a home in Tampa. I mean, look at the predicament he came into. You're replacing Tom Brady. You're the heir apparent to Tom Brady. You know how big of shoes those are to fill, the greatest quarterback of all time after what he did and winning a Super Bowl and everything. And, I really didn't know how this Tampa offense was going to flourish without Chris Godwin, because I think he's just as important to the puzzle as Mike Evans is. Tampa's defense, they're rounded in a form. I think Bucky Irving is going to be key in this one because Washington struggles to stop the run. I preview this an hour before kickoff on Sunday night.
And you can find that on the dailyblitz.blog. Shameless plug right there for you, Mr. Christian Simpson.
Thank you, sir.
TJ, what do you think about this game?
Not only is this a Week 1 matchup, this is the third time in like 3-4 years, like 4 or 5 years that they've met in the wild card round.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had that matchup where Tyler gave him a six-pack of Heineke, gave him all he could have. All he can handle against Tom Brady. It actually gave him the best matchup in that playoff series.
This is it's like the pieces change and so on and so forth. This is probably this is outside of the Packers Eagles, like this low key could be like the best game of the whole weekend. Like sneak, like dead ass, like this could be because Baker Mayfield got that much dog in him where he like, hey, I am not gonna let this young dude just come in and just show me up. Like you want to be a gun, like you want to gunsling, we can gunsling. Baker Mayfield is also not afraid to tuck that ball and run. The most important play of that game against the Saints was a 3rd and 14 scramble by Baker Mayfield. He picked up like 25 yards and he lowered his shoulders and delivered some boom. Put me in the mind of that Jay Cutler run against Pittsburgh. You know the one I'm talking about, David. He just ran somebody open. Because I don't think the most important player is Bucky Irvin. I think the most important players for the for this is going to be Vita Vea and whoever calls himself an edge rusher for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because we've seen the pocket collapse around Jaden Daniels, and we've seen him get out and extend plays and scramble for first downs and so on and so forth. If you can somehow contain him, you're gonna win. Give me the Buccaneers.
I'm gonna take the Commanders, and I understand that, like, Tampa Bay, but the problem with Tampa Bay is, like, yeah, they play really well sometimes, but I think that there are times where they kind of let their guard down. Yeah. Although I think the X factor, in this game is Jalen McMillan. Was basically a non-factor for majority of the season, but he's really come down the stretch and been a difference maker at the wide receiver position for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And when they really needed somebody to step up, now that Chris Godwin was out, I mean, he's had 4 touchdowns in 5 games. I mean, he's just been that go-to guy for Baker Mayfield. Scored the game-winning touchdown against to basically make them go into the playoffs. But the Commanders, there's something to be said. I mean, they're still playing with that house money. I mean, nobody had any expectations for them. I know it's different now that they made the playoffs and they have all this hubbub about them. But I like what I've seen out of the Commanders, and the Commanders played them tough. Like, this is a game that was, the final score was kind of a blowout. But when you look at the stats, 22 first downs for Washington, 22 for Tampa Bay. I mean, this is a team that they were pretty closely matched. The only difference is that Baker Mayfield threw 4 touchdowns in this game. Chris Godwin's not walking through that door for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This defense has played better down the stretch for the Washington Commanders. I'll take the Commanders, but this is probably one of my most anticipated games of the entire weekend. It should be really high scoring. It should be super, super entertaining.
Yeah, no complaints. No disagreements on that statement.
Moving on into the nightcap on Monday Night Football. We got the Minnesota Vikings who are licking their wounds after getting dispatched by the Detroit Lions, going into beautiful SoFi Stadium in Englewood, California, and taking on the Los Angeles Rams, who are also coming in. I know they didn't play any of their starters, but they lost to the Seahawks on Sunday. Minnesota actually went up against the Los Angeles Rams earlier this season. This was week number 8, and they handed the Minnesota Vikings 2 of their 4 losses this season. Or was it 3 losses? Yeah, 3 losses this season. The other 2 coming to the hands of Jake Bates and the Detroit Lions. Does history repeat itself, Christian?
All right, David, let's wrap this thing up, man.
Let's go.
1, 2, 3.
Shameless plug number 4,
baby. The Vikings picked the worst time to play their worst game of the year last week. Justin Jefferson was kept in check. Really didn't hear much from Jordan Addison. The running game was kept in check. And their defense held on until they just no longer couldn't. If the Lions could run the ball on the Vikings, what makes you think the Rams can't do it? I'm just saying. And, look, I'm going to see what Sam Darnold does. I want to see how he bounces back. The Rams, they've been such a great story. This was a team that started 1-4, and right now, Sean McVay, he's my pick to win Coach of the Year, because I don't think you could have imagined that the Los Angeles Rams would be a playoff team, yet alone win the NFC West. I'm sorry. This is going to be a fun one to close it out. Not only do I preview this game on Monday, I will be on Twitter tweeting during the game, so I will not be on the Prime on Monday. So be on the lookout. Actually, I'm just gonna make the announcement now. I'm not gonna be on the Prime on January 20th. That's the national championship, and I gotta break that one down.
Hell yeah!
So yeah, don't worry, David, you're in charge.
Glad to hear. With that being said, I'm going to roll with the Minnesota Vikings. I know that they lost to the Rams earlier this season. I am very concerned about how they're going to stop this offense with Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Demarcus Robinson. Fun fact, has never missed the playoffs in his NFL career. I know I talked about that all the time, but Demarcus Robinson is just – if he's on a team, he's going to the playoffs. Like, that's crazy. The Minnesota Vikings, their offense shows some chinks in the armor, but this Los Angeles Rams defense, I know they're stout up front. I like, with the Jared Verse and the other draft, Brandon Visk, the other kid, and the other kid they drafted last season too was been a nice piece. But their secondary isn't all that good. It could be had for sure. We saw with Geno Smith. I know they didn't play all their starters, but I think this Los Angeles Rams defense can be had. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings and Justin Jefferson. I think Sam Darnold bounces back after what was a really tough outing where he just overthrew some really wide open players that you hadn't seen out of Sam Darnold prior to this game, to Sunday night's game this season. He's been really efficient. He's been really accurate. And he's put himself in the damn MVP conversation with how good he's been this season. I think he bounces back. Give me the Vikings. TJ.
Kevin O'Connell is probably going to win Coach of the Year for the same reasons that Christian says Sean McVay is going to win Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
That being said, that oh Jesus Christ, that Lions game left a bad taste in everybody's mouth regarding the Minnesota Vikings because you lost that game. Not only did you lose that game, it was ugly. You gave up 28 points to one person. Like that means if they don't kick a field goal, they don't do nothing. They still win. You still lose. You still lose 28 to 9.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, even if you kick those 2 field goals and you try to go for it on 4th down, you still lose 31 to 16 or whatever.
Whatever it was, like yeah, like you still lose. Like you get, like, it's insane how that happened. Even if Jahmyr Gibbs scored those touchdowns and they missed all 4 extra points, you still lose.
Hey, Jake Bates would never do that.
David, it's a hyper goddamn.
No, I'm just kidding. Come on, dude.
So, like that being said, like I love what I love what the Rams did. Like I said it all the time, like the whole season. They got healthy at the right time. They got healthy at the right time. They finished strong. They also took advantage of distractions going on in San Francisco, down in Arizona, and up in Seattle. But at the same time, like I think the Vikings go into this game trying to 100% prove a goddamn point. It might get ugly for the Rams. Like it real life might get ugly. And the only way I see it don't getting ugly is the classic student versus teacher scenario. Like Kevin O'Connell is a Sean McVay pupil. Like we used to see it all the time. A guy would be on the Bill Belichick and they would get matched up, and then Bill Belichick would just literally show you why he Bill Belichick. Like that's real life. The only reason I see the Rams winning this game, like 2 things: Sean McVay is the teacher, and you have Hall of Fame quarterback Matthew Stafford, and the other team don't. Like I'm going with the Vikings, but I wouldn't be surprised one bit if this is the quote unquote upset of the weekend.
Yeah, so that's been our wild card preview and predictions presented by Prime Sports World. Thank you very much for joining us. We are currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and on the Huddle Sports Network. You can find that on your Roku devices. But please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast if you like what we are doing here at Prime Sports World. And also go over to dailyblitz.blog and give that a like and a subscribe. As Christian's pumping out some good content over there on dailyblitz.blog. And also check out Monday Evening Quarterback.
And that being said, I did not have Jerry Jones saving the Bears from themselves on my bingo card. So thank you, Jerry. Thank you.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever said thank you, Jerry, in my life. In my 30 years of living, I don't think I've ever said thank you to Jerry Jones.
Why you just lie? You know you 40.
Nah, he ain't 40 yet, but he'll get there someday.
Ain't you like 35, 40 your damn self? Like, come on.
Talking, you 50.
Come on now.
Anyways, thank you very much for joining us here at Prime Sports World. I'm David Huffman from the Daily Blitz.blog, Mr. Christian Simpson.
David was there when the Louisiana Purchase went through, so I know.
Yeah, whatever it was. And my co-host, the hater of the year, Mr. TJ Hopkins.
I'll get him for you. Don't worry. You know what? I'm about to start right now.
The hater of the year over there, Mr. TJ Hopkins.
Hey, I'll wear that title with pride. What you talking about?
I bet you do. What we do here at the Prime, my friends?
We bring the heat.
Yeah, we bring the heat. We'll be back here on tomorrow as Christian and Izzy are going to be breaking down the semifinals in the college football playoff. Me and TJ will be back here on Thursday giving you some awards predictions in the National Football League. You don't want to miss any of that content, so please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And now a quick message from our sponsor here at the Huddle Sports Network. We'll all see you guys all throughout the week. You all stay safe and be, good people. Have fun. Peace out. Stay warm.
Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before. Imagine tuning into real-time discussions, expert analyses, and fan interactions all at your fingertips. Each platform offers a unique experience, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. We're not just sharing stories, we're creating a community of passionate sports enthusiasts. Join us as we dive deep into the evolution of podcasting, where every episode is a chance to engage, debate, and celebrate the world of sports. This is where your voice matters and the game never stops. Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before, where sports passion meets podcasting brilliance. I'm Mike, the Bear fan, and alongside Bill, the Packer fan, and our buddy Ken Catalone, we're bringing you an incredible lineup of 38 diverse podcasters. Each one brings their unique flavor to the table, covering everything from game analysis to behind-the-scenes stories. Imagine diving deep into the minds of experts who live and breathe football, sharing insights that you won't find anywhere else.